Hey everybody, how you doing? Happy August. Sean McMahon here, hope you're doing well. I know it's been a little while since you heard from me podcast style. I just want to talk about a few of the little developments that have been going on in this channel lately. First of all, you may have noticed that the channel is no longer called Workman Song, it's just called Sean McMahon, Real Sean McMahon. And I made that decision for a number of reasons, or I'll just try to encapsulate it all into one reason. When I started using the name Workman Song in 2013 or 2014, it was a moniker. So it was first person, it referred to me. I was Workman Song. Back in the 2010s, there was this kind of fad to work under different monikers or project names, as they called them. And so I had to have a project name to be taken a little more seriously as an unknown artist. So Workman Song it was. Over the years, I started working with other musicians who would back me up in my bands, and I experimented with actually running Workman Song as a band with different formations. And it was a lot of fun. I did it with many different incarnations, but over the years I discovered, you know, it can be hard to keep a band together. And when you find good guys to play with, like I have recently, another factor comes up where, you know, Workman Song was my social media handle. I'm posting theological reflections. I'm posting personal reflections through the Workman Song channel. And so in many ways it turned out I was speaking for these other people. They don't necessarily need to be spoken for by yours truly. However, my intention for Workman Song has always been to kind of bring together all of my musical projects into one place. And so I decided, why not just have Workman Song be the name of a record label? And that way I can present my wife's music, my collaboration with my Brothers McMahon, my collaboration with Ted, Two Boys, all that stuff. It can go through the Workman Song hood still, but it can be a little separated from what I'm presenting to the world, so that I'm not necessarily speaking for all those people. Because as you've noticed, I do a lot of theology here, I do a lot of my own testimonies about my own faith, and I'm not speaking for all my friends and collaborators when I do that. So it's mostly to be fair to them, and it's also to be a little more upfront with you guys that what I'm presenting is just who I am. This channel at the end of the day is just me ministering what I've got with you all. So what have I got? You may have noticed that there haven't been a lot of theological reflections lately or Bible studies lately. And this is something I've noted throughout many of my videos, but my life, because I live on Martha's Vineyard, is actually quite seasonal. So I do a lot of my gigging. I perform a lot in the summer. It's basically like I'm on tour every summer. So you've noticed that most of my content during the summer has actually been videos of me working through music down here or live footage from concerts that I've done on the island this summer. So expect to see a lot of music in the summers. And you'll definitely get more theological reflections once things slow down, once I have more time in the day. Because frankly, I gig so much, sometimes I'm gigging 4 times in a given day, from morning to night. I gotta have some time for my family. I gotta have some time for myself too. So once I have enough time in the day to give love and time to my family, to my wife, to my kids, get a little R&R in myself, and then also have the time to go into theological study and start working through things, answering your questions, that's when you'll get more stuff from me. That usually happens around October, November, and lasts until about March or so. The other development, speaking of, you know, life on Martha's Vineyard, is this little number, Make MV Weird Again. This was a complete little fluke. Not too long ago, last week, a local fella, my neighbor actually, was having a lot of trouble fighting against the town, trying to hold basically a private music event on his farm. And he's still, you know, fighting against the man. He's, you know, neighbors knocking heads, all that stuff. But, you know, a lot of people are supporting my friend. His name is Brad. His farm is called Radio Farm. A lot of people are saying, listen, why is it so hard for cool things to happen here on MV? Because this place used to be like a hippie haven. James Taylor, Carly Simon, all these like free-thinking, free radical people used to hang out here all the time. It was a bunch of weirdos. And so I just posted on a whim on our local Islanders Talk forum. I said, make MV weird again. And people just loved it. They just jumped right in because, you know, like some people said, well, it's still weird and we're keeping it weird. Like, that's all good. If we're being honest with ourselves, a lot of people recognize that we wouldn't be having trouble getting things off the ground if we hadn't lost some of our weirdness, right? Some of our self-expression, some of our community chutzpah, right? Some of our artistic juju. And so a lot of people chimed in. They said, make merch. That's a great, that's a fun little meme, like you did a spoof on MAGA. It works. As I put in all the orders for Make Envy Weird Again merch, I guess the Democrats decide to diss the MAGA folk by saying that MAGA is weird or Trump is weird. And maybe some of the MAGA people have embraced it. I don't know. But anyway, you can see some people want to kick my butt now. I don't generally tend to make political statements. I try to communicate with the public on a artistic, creative, or can't really say pastoral anymore because I'm not a pastor, but I like to minister. I like to minister faith, hope, and charity to people. And I'll say this, the word weird is a synonym of the word queer. Both of these things just mean unusual. They mean idiosyncratic, whatever, individualistic, odd at worst, right? Well, as you may have heard, the word queer long since has a new meaning now. It has a completely different application, and it has a sexualized connotation now. And, one part of the country or the world wants to be inclusive of the people who like this term, and the other people want to be exclusive of the people who like this term. Now all of a sudden it's being dictated to us by the same political class that the word weird, which is a synonym of the word queer, must now be an antonym of the word queer. I mean, make it make sense. Make it make sense. People are saying weirdness is now bad. Weirdness is not something to be celebrated. Supposedly conformity is now the order of the day. As an adolescent, as a teenager, I was a disciple of George Carlin, all right? If there are words that you're not supposed to say, that means you're probably supposed to say them for the sake of the survival of your society. If we've come to the point where the word weird, which is about self-expression, which is about having a few things that are individual to you and only you that cannot be understood by other people, right? That is kind of its own order. It makes it hard for people to relate to you. Those are the things that we are challenged to try to be understanding towards and to try to embrace in one another as we reach out to each other in faith, hope, and charity in this little society of ours. Now, if politicians want to dictate how we use that language, if politicians want to dictate whether or not we use language like weird and try to change the definitions, then I'd say we're in a rough situation. And if tomorrow we wake up and the word love has a new meaning that is its opposite, and we're not supposed to use that word anymore, then that means that we did not do enough today to push back against these nincompoops. So listen, no matter what side you take on the political side of the spectrum, our hearts long for understanding and to be understood. And Christ calls us to that. That's what love is all about. We all want to love and be loved. And what is to love and be loved but to know and be known by our fellow brothers and sisters? So I'm ministering a little bit of peacemaking to y'all today. Not everyone tuning in is a Martha's Vineyard person, but if you love Martha's Vineyard and you want to support this sentiment of saltiness, of eclecticism, of artsy-fartsiness, of good old hippy-dippiness, and good old-fashioned communities, hoedowns, potlucks, make envy weird again. Feel free to get in on the merch train and share it with your friends. I'll be back in with some music and some theological studies real soon, guys. But thank you for tuning in. I just want to say a friendly hello in this very busy season in my life. May God bless you in this season and yours. Thanks for listening. Bye.